Something feels unusual today. The air is still, yet charged. You may not be able to name it, but deep inside, you sense that something unseen is moving. November 13th is not an ordinary day. Across many traditions, certain days arrive as thresholds, quiet moments when the old patterns loosen and a new awareness begins to rise. I am Shihen Yi. In this message, we will explore why some people can feel such shifts while others remain untouched. We will uncover how ancient Shaolin philosophy explains these moments as signals of readiness, signs that the body, mind, and spirit are aligning for transformation. Throughout history, even in the temple, we've watched how cycles of energy change without warning. Nature alters its rhythm. The body responds in silence. The mind resists, yet the soul listens. Today, that same current is moving through you. The question is, will you meet it consciously or drift past it asleep? In this video, you will learn how to recognize when a true inner shift is taking place, how to stay balanced when everything begins to feel unfamiliar, and how Shaolin mindfulness can help you cross this threshold with strength and clarity. You will discover forgotten teachings, lessons about rhythm, energy, and attention that few outside the temple ever hear. Stay with me until the end, because what begins as a day that feels different may reveal a doorway into deeper mastery. Welcome, my friend, to Shaolin Soulfire, a place where ancient wisdom meets the awakening soul. If you wish to walk this path of awareness and inner power, subscribe now and let us continue this journey together. There is a saying in the temple, before you move the mountain, you must first still the wind within. The Shaolin path begins not with strikes or forms, but with silence. Before a monk learns to master the outer world, he is taught to face the storms that rise inside, the restless thoughts, the subtle fears, the endless wanting that pulls attention away from the present moment. This is the first and most difficult battle, the one fought within. When I first entered the monastery as a young disciple, my master asked me a question I did not understand. He said, "Where is your mind when you are not looking?" It took me years to grasp the depth of that riddle. To master yourself is to know where your attention wanders when no one is watching. What thought do you return to again and again? What feeling quietly rules your decisions? Turning inward is not retreating from life. It is preparing to meet it fully. When you become aware of your inner world, the impulses that move you, the stories that define you, you begin to see clearly what has been driving your actions all along. This awareness is not comfortable at first. You may discover tension you've ignored, emotions you've buried, or desires you thought you had mastered. But awareness itself is the beginning of liberation. Every shift in life begins here. The more deeply you can look within, the more stable you become when the world outside begins to change. In Shaolin practice, we say the root must go deep before the tree can grow tall. The same is true for you. As you sense the shift around you, turn inward and find the still point that does not move. Many people hear the word discipline and feel a weight settle on their shoulders. They think of rules, control, or punishment. But in the ancient Shaolin way, discipline is not a cage. It is a key. It unlocks the mind from chaos and returns power to its rightful place within you. A monk does not train for the sake of perfection. He trains to become free from his own habits. The repetition of movement, the silence of meditation, the order of daily life, these are not restrictions. They are gateways. Through them, the restless mind is refined, the wandering attention becomes steady, and the body learns to obey the intention of the spirit. In the early mornings at the temple, long before sunrise, the air is cold and still. The body resists. The mind whispers to stay in comfort. But when the monk rises anyway, a quiet transformation begins. Each act of discipline, rising, training, breathing, becomes a declaration of freedom from the pull of weakness and distraction. On a day of great shift, this truth becomes even more vital. When energy in the world feels uncertain, when things begin to move beyond your control, discipline gives you an anchor. It is not the stiffness of control, but the strength of alignment. Structure does not limit your spirit. It protects it, gives it space to expand without losing direction. Freedom is not doing whatever you desire. Freedom is no longer being ruled by desire. The one who can guide his impulses with awareness walks steadily through change, untouched by chaos. In the Shaolin path, discipline is the art of shaping the self until the self no longer needs to be forced. It moves in harmony, naturally, freely. There are moments when time itself feels strange, as if the world slows down for a heartbeat, waiting for you to notice. This is the invitation of mindfulness to awaken fully into the present, where life actually happens. The Shaolin monks call this the gate of Chan, the art of pure awareness. It is not a belief or a ritual, but a way of being, to stand in the center of each breath, unchained from what was and unconcerned with what will be. At the temple, the sound of the wooden bell signals meditation. Every monk stops, bows, and breathes. In that breath, there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, only now. When the mind wanders to past regrets or future plans, it leaves the body behind and suffering begins. But in the moment of presence, all things return to balance. The breath deepens. The eyes soften. The noise of the world fades, and the truth that has always been here becomes visible again. When you sense that something feels different, it is often because your awareness is expanding. The shift you feel is a doorway to deeper perception. Instead of resisting it or trying to label it, pause and anchor yourself in the now. Notice the sensations in your body, the tone of your thoughts, the rhythm of your breathing. The present moment is both teacher and mirror. It shows you where your mind has been wandering and where peace has been waiting. Every time you return to this awareness, you strengthen your mastery. The Shaolin say, the past is smoke, the future is mist, only the present is clear water. Drink from it deeply. The now is not a fleeting instant, it is eternity unfolding one conscious breath at a time. In the Shaolin way, the body is not separate from the mind. It is the doorway through which awareness enters. Every movement, every breath, every moment of stillness is a conversation between matter and spirit. The ancient masters taught that the body holds the truth long before the mind understands it. When energy shifts, the first to feel it is not your thoughts, but your body. During training, monks repeat the same sequence of movements thousands of times. To an outsider, it may look like physical discipline, but within each repetition lies a silent dialogue. The body speaks in sensations, tension, release, warmth, vibration, and the mindful practitioner learns to listen. Over time, awareness sharpens until every gesture becomes a reflection of the inner state. If the mind is scattered, the movement will tremble. If the heart is calm, even the strike carries peace. When life begins to feel uncertain, when a subtle shift stirs within you, turn your attention to your body. Is your breath shallow or steady? Are your shoulders tense, your chest closed, your spine curved in protection? These are messages, not mistakes. The energy of change often expresses itself through posture, heartbeat, and breath. In Shaolin practice, we do not fight the sensations. We move with them. We allow the breath to guide the flow of energy until body and mind return to harmony. This union is the bridge that leads from confusion to clarity. When your physical form aligns with your inner awareness, you become grounded yet fluid, strong without rigidity, open without weakness. Through the body, the spirit learns to speak. Through the mind, the body learns to serve. Together, they form a single vessel, steady enough to hold the power of transformation. In every Shaolin courtyard, there is a quiet rhythm. The sound of fists cutting through air, followed by stillness so deep it seems to stop time itself. This is the dance of opposites. Hard and soft, movement and rest, power and surrender. True mastery, the masters say, is not found at one extreme, but in the space where the opposites meet and bow to each other. When a young monk first learns to strike, his movements are rigid, full of force. He believes strength means tension. But over time, as breath and awareness deepen, the tension dissolves into flow. The strike becomes soft yet powerful, effortless yet precise. The secret is balance. Without softness, strength becomes brittle. Without strength, softness becomes weakness. In harmony, they become art, a reflection of nature itself. Life too moves in this same rhythm. There are days of fire and action, and days of stillness where nothing seems to move. Both are sacred. The energy of November the 13th of May feel confusing, a pull toward motion and a call to pause. You may feel caught between wanting to act and needing to rest. Do not resist this contradiction. It is a sign that something within you is being reshaped. The Shaolin masters teach that tension is not the enemy. It is the birthplace of transformation. In the balance between opposites, new strength is forged. When you can hold both firmness and gentleness, discipline and surrender, you begin to live from the middle path, the point of quiet power. In this space between hard and soft, between effort and ease, you meet your truest self. The world may shift around you, but within, there is only balance, the stillness that moves and the movement that rests. At the heart of the Shaolin tradition lies a simple truth. Strength without virtue is danger disguised as power. The ancient masters understood that discipline, focus, and energy mean little if they are not guided by a moral compass. Every movement in the temple, from meditation to combat, begins and ends with intention. The question is never just what you do, but why you do it. In the monastery before dawn training begins, monks bow not to a statue, but to a principle. That bow is a reminder to act with integrity, to remain humble, even in mastery, and to serve life rather than control it. Without this grounding, power becomes imbalance, and knowledge turns into pride. Virtue is what gives energy its direction, like a river guided by its banks. When a shift arises, as it does on days like this, it tests your alignment. It asks, what are you serving through your choices? In moments of confusion or change, the temptation is to act quickly, to assert control. But true responsiveness is not reaction. It is awareness in motion. It is the ability to pause, to listen deeply, and then to act in harmony with what is right, not merely what is easy. The Shaolin path teaches that integrity is not built in great moments, but in small ones, keeping your word, honoring your boundaries, speaking truth, even when silence would be safer. This is the quiet strength of the awakened one. If the world feels different today, let it be an invitation to return to your center, to align your actions with your values. Power gains meaning only when guided by virtue. Through this balance, the warrior becomes a servant of peace, not its destroyer. There is a river in the mountains near the temple that never resists its path. It bends around rocks, widens in valleys, and flows steadily toward the sea. The Shaolin masters often point to this river as a teacher. Life moves most freely when we release the need to cling, when we let go of what no longer serves us. Attachment binds the mind, the heart, and even the body. It creates weight where there could be lightness, tension where there could be ease. In training, a young monk struggles to hold every movement perfectly, every thought disciplined, every emotion controlled. The master does not scold him for imperfection. He observes the struggle itself. See how you hold too tightly, he says. Strength is not in grasping, true power flows like water. The lesson is subtle but profound. Letting go is not weakness, it is liberation. On a day when shifts are felt deeply, this principle becomes vital. The energy around you may stir old stories, old fears, or roles you have outgrown. Instead of resisting, notice where you are holding too tightly. Expectations, identities, outcomes. These bindings create friction and make the current of change harder to navigate. To move into flow is to trust the moment without losing awareness. It is to respond with flexibility rather than force. The body and mind become instruments of the present, not battlegrounds of the past. You discover that energy is not something to control, but something to guide. Flow does not mean passivity. It means attuning to the rhythm of life and allowing your actions to emerge naturally from clarity, not compulsion. In this surrender, new levels of being open themselves, subtle doors of insight and mastery that remain hidden to the grasping mind. Let the current carry you, and you will find freedom where struggle once held you bound. Beneath the surface of every thought, beneath the quiet of every day, there are currents moving unseen. Shaolin meditation, rooted in the practice of Chan, trains the mind to sense what lies beneath the hidden patterns of habit. the silent echoes of fear, the unnoticed repetitions that shape our choices. These currents are subtle yet powerful. They guide our actions more than we realize, like wind shaping the course of a river over time. In the temple, a monk sits for hours in stillness. At first, the mind is loud, bouncing from memory to worry, desire to regret. But with patience, each wave of thought becomes visible, each habitual impulse comes into awareness. The monk learns not to judge, but to observe, to trace the roots of each movement of mind. Slowly, the hidden becomes visible, and the unconscious transforms into conscious mastery. Today, when a shift ripples through your awareness, use it as a mirror. What patterns have silently guided your life until now? Which fears or assumptions have shaped your reactions without your notice? Which attachments have directed your energy in unseen ways? The shift is not a disruption, it is an invitation, a signal from life to illuminate what has remained in shadow. Awareness of these patterns is the beginning of freedom. Once you see them clearly, you can choose whether to continue carrying them or release them. The strength of the Shaolin path is that mastery is not control over life, but mastery over self, the ability to recognize, understand, and consciously direct the forces within. Let this day of change be a lantern. Allow the light of awareness to touch the hidden currents within you. What was once unconscious becomes conscious. What was once habitual becomes deliberate. And in that clarity, the mind finds both peace and power. In the quiet halls of the temple, a monk once asked his master, "What is the purpose of all this training if not for myself?" The master smiled and replied, "The water that fills the cup is not for the cup alone, it must overflow to nourish the earth." True mastery is not measured by the perfection of movement, the steadiness of breath, or the stillness of mind. Its highest expression is service, the ability to take what has been refined within and allow it to benefit the world beyond. Self-mastery begins with discipline, presence, and awareness. It is the work of shaping the mind and body, of harmonizing strength and softness, of observing patterns that once went unnoticed. Yet the final lesson of the Shaolin path is always outward-facing. The internal cultivation becomes the source of generosity, guidance, and protection for others. Power without purpose, skill without direction, awareness without compassion, these are empty forms. On a day of subtle shift, like November 13th, the energy moving within you is not solely for personal insight. It is a current that can be directed outward, a potential waiting to be expressed in acts that uplift, heal, or inspire. Ask yourself, how can the clarity I have gained serve those around me? How can the strength I have cultivated protect rather than dominate? How can the awareness I have nurtured illuminate paths for others still lost in shadow? The Shaolin teaching reminds us that the self and the world are inseparable. When mastery flows into service, the ordinary transforms into the sacred. The shift you feel is not only a moment of personal awakening, but an opportunity to align your inner growth with the needs of the greater whole. In this way, the path of the warrior becomes the path of the servant, and true mastery finds its fullest expression. A shift felt in the mind is only the beginning. Energy can stir, awareness can expand, and yet if it remains unanchored, it drifts like smoke in the wind. The Shaolin way teaches that insight becomes real only when it is embodied, when the body, mind, and spirit move together in alignment with what has been recognized. Feeling a shift is not enough, it must be lived. In the monastery, even the smallest practice carries weight. A single breath taken with full attention can center the mind. A quiet walk among trees allows the body to absorb rhythm, grounding the energy that has begun to awaken. Sitting in silence, observing the rise and fall of thoughts, becomes a subtle training of presence. These are simple acts, yet they are the foundation of lasting transformation. Consistency is the secret that transforms these small actions into real change. A monk does not expect enlightenment after one meditation or one movement form. Each repetition, each deliberate breath, each pause for awareness builds a lattice within the self, capable of holding the currents of change. Over time, the subtle shift becomes natural. It is no longer a fleeting experience, but a way of being. You can make the shift real by acknowledging it daily. Take a moment at the end of the day to revisit what has changed within you. Note the sensations, the thoughts, the subtle impulses that have arisen. Honor them, let them guide your actions. In this way, the mysterious energy of a day like November 13th is not lost or ignored. It is woven into the fabric of your life through mindful attention and steady practice, through repetition, presence, and quiet observance. What began as a sensation becomes embodied mastery, a living reflection of the inner work that holds the power to transform both self and the world. There comes a moment when the familiar no longer feels enough, when the rhythms of ordinary life seem muted against the subtle stirrings of awareness. The Shaolin teachings call this a threshold, a place where the old ways fall away and a new way of being waits to be embraced. To step onto this path is not to escape life, but to engage it more fully, with eyes wide open and presence sharpened. You do not need to transform everything at once. The trees do not bloom in a single night, and the river does not change course with a single stone. Transformation begins with orientation, a shift in how you move through each day, how you notice each breath, each thought, each interaction. To walk this path is to become an active participant in your own evolution, aware of the currents around you and willing to move with them instead of against them. The Shaolin masters speak of this as walking with intention. Even in small, deliberate acts, the energy of the shift is embodied. Each mindful step, each pause to observe, each choice aligned with integrity and presence becomes a declaration that you are awake to life, no longer drifting in automatic repetition. The inner cultivation, the balance of strength and softness, discipline and flow, awareness and compassion now directs your engagement with the world. This new path is not a destination but a living process. It asks for patience, consistency, and courage. It asks you to honor the subtle currents of change while moving steadily forward. The world around you may appear unchanged, yet your perception has expanded, your orientation has shifted, and your actions carry new resonance. Step into this path consciously. The ordinary is no longer sufficient. The subtle shift you feel today is an invitation to participate in life with clarity, strength, and awakened presence. It is a call to walk not as a passive observer, but as a master of self, moving purposefully into a larger unfolding. On a day that feels unlike any other, the currents of change are moving quietly through your life. The teachings of the Shaolin tradition remind us that these moments are invitations, opportunities to turn inward, strengthen discipline, cultivate presence, and align body and mind. By balancing opposites, releasing what binds you, bringing hidden patterns into light, and grounding yourself in virtue, you prepare to move not only with awareness, but with purpose. These practices are not distant ideas. They are steps you can take each day, a deliberate breath, a pause in stillness, a mindful choice. Small actions like these carry the energy of transformation into your everyday life. When approached with patience and consistency, the shift you feel becomes embodied, guiding your thoughts, words, and deeds with clarity and grace. Let this day, and the awareness it brings, be a reminder that life's deeper currents are always accessible to those who cultivate attentiveness and care. Walk gently with yourself and the world, honoring both the quiet and the movement, and allow your inner mastery to ripple outward in service, compassion, and presence. If this message has resonated, carry it forward into your daily life. And here at Shaolin Soulfire, we invite you to continue exploring the path of awareness and self-mastery. Like this video and subscribe to our channel, so together we may walk steadily along the path of mindful transformation. May your steps be calm, your mind clear, and your heart open.